Hey, welcome back to Cream City Dreams. I'm your host, Megan Schultz, and this is the podcast where I talk with incredible Milwaukee women who are living their dream, who are bringing beautiful things into this world, who are just creating a better place for us all to live. And that is certainly true with today's guest. I am talking with Jamila Riley. If you've been to the Sherman Phoenix in the last 5 years, you will have seen her work, her beautiful, beautiful earrings, among many other things that she creates in her shop. And if you are lucky enough to know her, then you will know the positivity and the joy and the energy that she also brings and that she also creates in her space. I am super excited to share this interview, and I know after you listen, you will want to get down to Sherman Phoenix to meet Jamila yourself. All right, here is my interview with Jamila Riley. Today on the podcast, I am excited to introduce listeners to Jamila Riley, or JRiley, as some may know her through her shop at the Sherman Phoenix. Now, hold on. This is a long list. Jamila is a creative, an entrepreneur, a designer, a motivational speaker, a stylist, a brand strategist, and a supporter of women to find and feel beauty from the inside out. I love this. I love it so much. Jamila runs her own business, JRiley Creative, where she sells handmade crocheted earrings, scarves, hats, accessories, and other home decor. But more than that, she encourages women to live authentically through their styling and their color and their choices they make when they are thinking about how to present themselves in the world. So welcome, Jamila.
I'm so happy to be here. So excited.
Did I get that right? Is that how you would describe yourself at parties?
Wonderful. You're really good. And I was listening like, I wonder what she's going to say.
That
was pretty good.
Good. Well, for people who might not have been to the Sherman Phoenix or might not be familiar with your incredible creations, could you just give a little more about, sort of the things you produce, your reason for doing all this? Yeah, tell us.
I am located inside the Sherman Phoenix, which is a entrepreneurial hub for business owners. There are about 27 businesses in this space. We're located at 3536 West Fond du Lac Avenue. I started off here maybe 5 years ago. So I wasn't one of the original tenants, but I started off in the lower level in a maker's market with my mom, of At Peace Designs, Marie Carter of the Classic Shop, and Angela Marshall of Butterscotch Baby. So we did that for about 2.5 years, and the band decided it was time to break on up. And so two of us remained inside of the Sherman Phoenix and moved to the main level. So myself and Marie Carter are now upstairs, and I'll be celebrating 2 years in my own brick and mortar space in April.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, that's exciting.
I've been here for a little while. And like you mentioned, I do crochet items. So earrings, hats, scarves, accessories, home decor, and things of that nature. I love what I do. And I think I'm pretty certain the community enjoys what I do as well. But the bigger picture for me, as you mentioned, is I am an encourager. I'm an encourager of all people. So it's not just exclusive to women, but my main focus is women, and even more specifically Black and brown women. And it's just so important for me being an African American woman, and it's gotten better. It's gotten much better, but our representation, it's important that young girls and women, I can't even just limit it to young girls, because there's women and there's older women who I interact with on a daily basis that need encouragement, that need upliftment, that need inspiring. So I know that God has placed me here to do that very specifically.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I want to say you were recommended by another guest from this season, Meg Brazan of the 5320 cast, and we got this. And she was, of course, sporting a pair of your earrings during our interview.
I have to get you some.
Yes. And she said, though, that she said she looked up to you as an incredible woman in Milwaukee who
Oh,
was not only creating earrings and tangibles to share with the community, but creating community itself with your store.
absolutely.
She said it was
Absolutely.
more than a store, like it was a space for community. And so,
Absolutely.
oh my gosh, I love me a good community connection.
So the people who have JRiley pieces, whether they're men or women, are affectionately known as the clique. And that was birthed through a conversation with one of my girlfriends, Marie, um, and just really talking about she was focusing on how the city was kind of cliquey and people kind of, click up and these people are this people and these people. And I'm like, I've never taken that approach, even though I see it.
Yeah.
I When I embarked on this journey, I was very intentional about creating my own clique. And so I am the clique. You are the clique. Wherever you go, you kind of adjust how the atmosphere, you set the atmosphere on how you want to
Mm.
see what you want it to look like. So the clique was born, and everyone is welcome here.
Okay.
And
So yours is not an exclusive
it's
click.
definitely not an exclusive, but it's very inclusive. Everyone is welcome here in the clique, and we have every size, shape, gender, race. It doesn't matter. Everyone is here and well represented.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I recently learned about this term called community architect, and I just love it. Like people who
Mm,
create and who build
I
community and
like that.
make the right. Isn't that cool? And
Hmm.
so people who make these connections and create these spaces for people to come together. And so I was curious if we could maybe start there in terms of who you are and where this came from in you. Like what were you maybe that means going back to little Jamila and tell us your
Hmm.
story. Like did you
Hmm.
grow up here to start?
Yep. So I'm born and raised here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, all my life. My mom and dad are both from here. My parents were young. I think they were about 16 when I was born, and they got married right away. I mean, they didn't stay married, but I had a very, very good support system on both sides of my
Mm,
family. And on my maternal side, everyone is very artsy. Everyone, so we're all involved in arts one way or another. There's sewers, there's crocheters, there's knitters, there's singers, there's dancers, there's actresses, there's DJs, there's artists, there's all walks of life, right?
mm.
And so for me growing up, I was always short. I'm short right now. I am 5 feet. It's never changed. And I was always, I don't know, I kind of consider myself to be an ugly duckling in a sense. I
Hmm.
was always the darkest. I was always the shortest. I was never really bullied, but I was never really the chosen girl either.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And so I had a lot of friends, but I also found comfort in the arts, in creativity. You know what I mean? And so being able to use that as an outlet has always been a tool for me for comfort and just for, I don't know if I want to say acceptance, a level of comfort for me is what
Yeah.
I'll say. And so all throughout my life, I've leaned heavily into the arts. And maybe in high school, probably about my sophomore year is when I would say I finally, I don't know, just kind of came into myself and recognized that I was a beautiful young woman. And it kind of started there and really leaning into the pride of being a Black woman. You know what I
Mm.
mean? I went to
Mm-hmm.
Pius.
Okay.
And at that time, I graduated in 94. So there were not a lot of African American students there. And so it was very important for me to be able to uh, be a representation, not just for the other students who didn't look like me, but also for people who lived in my neighborhood, right? Because I was coming all the way from 15th and Concordia, taking the bus all the way out to 76th and Stevenson.
Mm.
And people in my neighborhood didn't know what pious was, but it was important for me to be able to show, this is something we can do too. And then for me to be able to show my peers at school that uh, all Black people don't look like what you see on the news, you know?
Mm.
And I've kind
Mm-hmm.
of carried that all of my life. I've very much been very unapologetically a Black woman. I show up, I take up space. And it's so funny that we're talking about this. I just kind of went through this mentally yesterday. Um, I don't even know how one of my girlfriends, we were talking about having educated Black educators in school. I've never had one. which is
Mm. Hmm.
very interesting to me. Through elementary all the way through college, I've never had one. I went to Cardinal Stritch, and even there, I remember just being so unapologetic about who I was. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Facing racism and injustices and microaggressions and all the things all my life. Um, I just became an advocate for black women, black and brown women, you know. But then as
Yeah.
I've gotten older, my formal education is in art. I was an art teacher, so art education is one of my loves, and really getting out into the workforce and interacting with more people, people who are different than me, on a professional level, right? Kind of sparked this being a cheerleader for women in general,
Mm.
because I would see the mistreatment, I would see the injustices that were bestowed upon women, and I just don't like injustice for people, period. I don't like bullies. I don't And so I've always been an advocate for what is right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And my faith has played a heavy role from high school on up, especially college on up. It's really, really leaned to my head. And now my faith is my North Star for everything I do.
Mm.
Yeah.
Do you remember? I mean, you say something clicked your sophomore year. Did you have a teacher? Was there like, do you remember that sort of pivotal moment?
I remember Mr. Lide, and he passed away, I think, last year. May he rest in peace. I remember him being, and I'm not exactly certain what his role was at Pius, but I just admired him because he was in education and he was a black man, and it just was something different than what I had ever seen
Mm.
before. And he was so well respected, and I really enjoyed, the way people looked up to him and the way people respected him. And even in that, I don't remember who it was, but somewhere in high school, we started a gospel choir, and I began
Mm.
going to church with one of my girlfriends. And so I would have to say that my introduction to Christ is probably what caused that shift in me,
Mm.
in recognizing that, I mean, it sounds cliche, but it's scripture that we're fearfully and wonderfully made, right? And so to be
Mm.
able to disregard what the outside world said and lean into who God says that I am and what
Mhm.
God says that I am, I think it's probably what, shifted the trajectory for the rest of my life.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
love it how I'm just listeners, you can't see this, but of course she has a fabulous pair of her earrings in, and they're big and they're bold and they take up space. And I love that
Hmm.
about the design. Has that always been, when you started getting into art and
Ah,
making, were you always?
again, yesterday, my mom sent me a photo album. She shared a photo album that was of my uncles. And they were like a million pictures, like some pictures I had never seen before. But the common thing in all the pictures from me when I was younger, in those pictures, and then just looking at ones that I've had, I've always been a lover of jewelry. I've always been a lover of adornment. And so
Mm.
all the pictures I have on, like gold necklaces, gold rings, gold earrings, headbands, barrettes, like I've always been one who enjoyed adornments and color. As far as today and how I create things, and listeners, again, you can't see the background, but you can see the
Mm-hmm.
mural, part of the mural on the wall, and the things that it's very bright in here.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very intentional. The cabinets are pink, like, I don't want to say Barbie pink, but they're very, very pink. And it's very intentional because I know that colors evoke different emotions in us, right?
Yeah.
So it's my job to use color to teach people how to feel differently. Uh,
Mm.
so I don't do a lot of black. I do it sometimes during Black History Month and then on Black Friday. But other than that, I don't do a lot of black throughout the year, because I really try to get people to think differently, to press the envelope a little bit in terms of their fashion and styling choices, whether it be on their body or in their homes, and to lean into things that make them feel comfortable, that bring them joy.
Yeah.
Not so much as what's the trending thing or what everyone else is doing, but more so what makes you feel good, what makes you happy. Do you look good in it? Do you look in it? Not do other people think you look in it? Do you feel good in this? And if so,
Mm-hmm.
then it's for you.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Okay, so you go to Pius, you go to Cardinal Stritch, you come out, and then you're art teacher for a while
Yeah.
in MPS,
hmm
or okay.
Well, I was at a charter school. I was the Young Leaders Academy, which is like the best school ever in the entire world. I was there for 2 years, and then my position was eliminated. You know, the first thing they cut is art
Yeah.
and
Jeez.
gym and all the specials. So art
Mm-hmm.
was eliminated there. And so I went over to Milwaukee Academy of Science for 2 years. And there I taught K through 12, which was crazy. But it was cool. It was cool to be able to get that experience, working with the youngest to the oldest of kids. And in both of those places, I have developed lifelong friendships with not only the staff and parents, but the students. So every week there's a student who comes in and just kind of pops their head in and lets me know how they're doing, which I think is really, really cool.
Mm.
And then we were going into our third year at Milwaukee Academy of Science. Remember, I said that my faith is the cornerstone for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember feeling like the Lord was telling me I had more than enough to make it with my hands. And I
Mm.
didn't really know what that meant because at the time I was doing hair. I also did hair for like, I don't know, over 30 years.
Oh, wow.
And so I would do like locks and braids and natural hair. And I didn't know if that's what he meant. I didn't know if I was a painter. So I was painting like untreated wood furniture. That was a time where like kids' cabinets and shelves and chairs and everything was painted, very whimsically and things. So I was doing that and also crocheting, but just for myself. And I would make sets and wear them to work. And some coworkers would, inquire about them. And at that time, I was like, oh, okay, $20. I didn't know anything. I never thought it would be a business.
Yeah.
And so I kept feeling this message, this urging, right? And so at the end of the year, I didn't sign my contract. My
Mm.
since return form, I didn't sign it. And so everyone that I worked with at the time, they were like young, they were white, they were fresh out of college, they were married, well on this path of, life. I'm using air quotes, listeners. Um, and so they were appalled, like, oh my God, what are you going to do? You don't have another job lined up. Do you have a savings? You don't have a husband. You have these kids. What are you going to? And so what did I do? I got scared. And
Mm.
so at the last minute, I took a job back at Young Leaders Academy, but not as an art teacher, as a fourth grade teacher. And I'd like to say that was the worst year of education. It was the
Oh
worst year of
man.
education in my life, but I know it was because I wasn't supposed to be there. You know what I mean? I was
Mm-hmm.
very much being disobedient to what God had told me. And the only plus that came out of that was me and my husband got together. But outside of that, and the relationships I developed with my students. But it was not an easy year by far. And I know it
Yeah.
was challenging because it wasn't where I was supposed to be. So at the end of that
Mm.
year, myself and my best friend Angela Mallet, and you may know her of Honeybee Sage,
Mm-hmm.
down on King Drive, we made, I don't want to say a pact, but we're just like, we're not doing this
Was
anymore.
she was also a teacher with
Yep,
you
she was
that
a
year?
she was an
Okay.
assistant there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was 2009.
Oh, wow.
And here we are in 2025, making it happen.
Wow. Wow. So in 2009 is when you start
And
kind
that's
of
the
JRiley
last time I
Creatives.
had a traditional 9 to 5
Wow.
paycheck to
Okay.
paycheck job. Yep.
Yeah. But it wasn't until you said 2019 that you and your mom did the underground at the Sherman Phoenix?
Yes, we came in, I think at the end of 2019. We actually were in this small space upstairs while they were building out our space downstairs. So we actually opened during the pandemic.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Holy
opened during
cows.
the
Yeah.
pandemic, which was really, and that was just a tumultuous time. I mean, obviously because of the pandemic, but then my son was also killed
Oh,
in April of the pandemic. And then George Floyd and all, there was so much going on. And then we opened here kind of simultaneously with all the uprisings and things. So it was really a tumultuous
wow.
year, but it was a good year. It was a good year. And I was always very hesitant in speaking during the pandemic and afterwards in interviews and people asking about how we did during the pandemic and what was it like, because I know that that was not a lot of people's testimony. There were a lot of businesses that had to close down or that, their bottom lines were affected and they weren't able to keep staff or, able to have customers. And that wasn't our testimony at all.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm certain that a lot of it was due to the uprisings and the rioting and the protesting and things that were going on. And
Mm-hmm.
there were tons of people who would come from up north and who would come from all over and just come in to kind of see what this Black space was and coming
Mm-hmm.
to support and volunteer. And so that I know played a major role in how well we did
Yeah.
during the pandemic, and it kind of carried throughout the year.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you feeling the backlash now? Or a backlash maybe is the wrong word, but the stupidity is the right word. The all the
Yes,
things that
right.
are happening now. I'm sorry. Like, but is it feeling like,
um,
are
I
you still
can't.
feeling the love?
I am definitely still feeling the love, and I think
Mm.
that it's because it goes back to the community that you were talking about, right? Like I have done a job of creating and crafting a community, this space that is a sacred, safe space for all walks of life. So in this space, in JRiley Studio, in this click community, it feels good. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And that may not be the same for everyone, but for me, I haven't noticed any difference
Oh,
at
good.
all. Because
Good.
here's the thing, those people who we're not saying stupid, right? We're not saying that. Um,
Can I
People with
say it
differences of
though?
opinions. Sure. This is your podcast, so I just want to make sure that I'm saying the right thing.
Yes, yes,
Um,
yes, yes, yes.
those aren't
I
people
feel
who are
you.
in the clique anyway. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that yeah, I haven't noticed any difference.
Okay, good.
It's been
Good.
all love over here. Yeah.
Yeah. How do we build more of that in Milwaukee across the
Hmm.
silos, across the bridges, across, like how I
I
feel
think
like
it really starts with self, right? I think that understanding who you are, and for
mm,
me, because of my faith, whose I am, and therefore the power that I possess is so important. I think it's
mm,
important that we break away from, like, my tagline for JRiley is uniquely you,
mm,
because it's so important for everybody to show up as their unique self. I think we live in a time where we're spoon fed what we're supposed to look like, what our hair is supposed to look like, what jewelry we're supposed to wear, what shoes you're supposed to wear, what time you're supposed to wear this color, and when you need to stop wearing that color, what food you're supposed to eat, what music you're supposed to listen to. This is the trending uh, topic on social media. Like everything is like very much follow the leader.
mm,
You know what I
mm-hmm,
mean? And it
mm-hmm.
takes individuals who are willing to stand up and be unapologetic and be unafraid and say, hey, this is what I like.
Yeah.
And it's fine. And I just know that your vibe will attract your tribe. And I know that's cliche as well, but it's the truth. Like as you stand up in your authenticity and who you are, your people are going to come to you. And
Mm,
I just believe that to be true. And I think that the more we own that and do that, it transcends age, it transcends gender, it transcends race, ethnicity, all those things, because the reality is we're more alike than we are different.
yes. Yes.
It's a lot
Yeah.
of unlearning on a lot of people's parts, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of being, a lot of self reflection,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And unlearning biases that we may have about specific groups or, people. And it's not easy work and it doesn't happen overnight.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it means offering grace and spaces and places for people to learn and unlearn and feel
Mm-hmm.
comfortable in doing that, right? It takes
Mm-hmm.
having a voice and standing up to people who are spewing, I almost cursed. I didn't. Nonsense. Um,
That's okay. It's my podcast.
um,
You can curse.
okay. But who are spewing and keeping up nonsense, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
So it starts with self. It definitely
Yeah.
starts with self and surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals and knowing that those people will eventually find their way to you.
Yes. And that takes courage, you
And it
know?
definitely takes courage.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Because people aren't going to always agree with you.
Right.
We know
Right.
that to be the truth, right?
Right. Absolutely.
They're not going to always agree with you. And it's fine because it's still, we can still be friends, we can still be co-workers, we can still be family and not necessarily agree on the same things. Now if our morals are a little different, and that gets a little tricky, right?
Mm-hmm.
um but I won't turn this into like a political thing. We'll just
Yeah, no.
leave it at that.
I feel you though. Well, in addition to all of your creative work, you are big on, obviously, as we talked about, supporting women and Black and brown women in particular and entrepreneurs. And
Yes.
I saw that you had last year an entire session or series of workshops about showing
Yeah.
up authentically in business and sort of what we're
Hmm.
talking about here. And I'm wondering, are there more takeaways that you can share on how people do that? How do you show up authentically when it's hard or when you're not feeling courageous or
You got to do it afraid. You know what I
mm,
mean? Like, it's scary because, especially like for entrepreneurs, you have this idea and you're like, are people even going to like this? Like,
mhm,
never in a million trillion years would I have ever thought that I would be selling yarn earrings, okay? And
mm,
that they would go over so well, and that celebrities would be wearing, my piece. Like, that's mind blowing to me. But I had to not be afraid to do it.
mm, mhm,
And so I think it entails doing it even when even when you're afraid. You know what I
mm,
mean? Like, I was scared, but you got to put yourself out there. The only thing you can do is fail. And then if you do fail, that's fine. We all fail. Look at your areas in which you failed. How can you change? How can you grow? What do you need to do differently? And just try it again.
mhm, mhm,
And it definitely sounds much easier than actually doing it, but it's the reality of it. It's dusting yourself off. Um, Aaliyah had a song, first you don't succeed, dust yourself off and try again. And that's
mhm.
the truth.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and I read too that the pandemic for you was a big learning experience on how to market differently, like how to
Oh,
use social media. Can you talk a little bit about that
oh my
experience?
God. Yeah. So as I mentioned when we first got on the Zoom, I am not a tech girl. Okay.
Mm,
I am very much a pen and paper, jotting down journals, notes. Like, I write every day. I have journals dating back to 94. I'm
mhm,
very much old school. And so prior to the pandemic, I think I had gotten the Etsy site. Once I first quit my job, I had jumped into entrepreneurship head first. And so I
mm,
jumped on Etsy. I didn't know what I was doing. So I had like this empty Etsy store. I didn't have a website. Facebook. I think I had Instagram too, but it was mainly just for pictures of like flowers on my walks or funny things with family. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I wasn't utilizing it as a tool for my business. However, when the pandemic hit and I'm like, oh, we can't talk to people, we can't touch people, we can't see people, it caused us all to have to shift how we did things. I can't even tell you how one day I just buckled down and did my whole website on like Big Cartel. I don't know how I did it. It had to be the Lord, like literally guiding me through this process because I don't know. But I got a website. I made a JRiley Facebook page, a business page, because I hadn't had that before. So I tried to make the distinction there. And I began to slowly shift my Instagram feed to focus solely on JRiley, the brand, even though I
Mm,
didn't change it from being my personal brand because so much of what I do and sell and offer is me also. I didn't want to make a hard line there, but I just started doing more advertising, I guess you can say,
mhm,
and marketing as a whole. Doing some interactive things with people, doing live sales. That was a big thing. Uh,
mm,
and having people come pick up like off the porch. Like, that was another time I was very afraid.
mhm.
Okay. Did not know what the hell I was doing, but just kind of did it, you
Yeah.
know? And
Yes.
it worked. It worked.
I feel like that totally exemplifies. I feel like over the course of the almost 3 years now that I've been doing this podcast, there are consistent lessons that are
Oh yeah.
kind of a theme throughout all
Yes.
of these incredible women. And
Mhm.
a lot of them have to do with this, like starting before you're ready,
Oh
starting
God.
small, just starting, because
Just starting. I am an
yeah.
avid believer in slow and steady wins the race.
Mm-hmm.
So I do not believe in growing fast. Everyone's like, oh, you should do X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, first of all, I'm not doing anything that God hasn't told me to do. I'm very, very intentional about listening for his voice and allowing the Holy Spirit to guide me in the direction in which I feel he would have me to go. Sometimes that doesn't look like what I want to do because if I'm being 100% transparent, I would love to not have a brick and mortar space
Mm.
and do more online things. And it's mainly because my reach has grown across the country, right? And so I want to be able to reach more people that way and offer them more things that way. And I know that being at home and not, I don't want to say having to make it sound like a burden, but not being required to be in a space where I'm interacting with people every day will free me up to be able to create more and then be able to produce more and, offer more to people here and across the world.
Yeah.
But the Lord has said to me as I've gone to him in prayer many, many, many times, that this is where I need to be right now and
Yeah.
that I cannot reach the people like he wants me to at home. So here I am for the time
Yes.
being
How
at Sherman.
lucky is Milwaukee to have you in our community?
And I feel grateful. I don't take it for granted at all. Like the fact that the city has embraced JRiley in such a way is amazing to me. It's
Mm.
amazing to me. The fact that with God's guidance, I've been able to create this brand that people appreciate, that they see, that they appreciate, that they love, and that they want. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Is I don't take that lightly at all. To see people choosing like, oh, I'm going to speak on a panel. I'm getting married. I'm making some for a bride. I was honored to make some for one of my friends who passed away and they buried her in
Mm.
them.
Oh,
I've done them for sweet 16s. I've done them for baby showers. I've done them for so many different occasions, book signings, and people are keynote speakers. And the fact that people choose to rock with JRiley in their most, pivotal and important moments, it makes my heart smile. And I'm forever,
yes.
forever, forever grateful. Yeah.
Yes. So you make every single pair by
I
hand.
make every single pair by hand.
Wow.
Um, and that's something because and this is the first time I'm really saying this um, publicly. I've talked about it with, my counselor, my business, counselor, and my therapist, and family, and some close friends. But I will be having to shift more this year
Mm.
just because physically, like my hands, like my shoulders, my back, it's beginning to wear on me. It's taking its toll on my body now. So
Mm.
while I can do things to combat that, I know that I'm getting older.
Mm.
And so I want to honor the body that I have. And so I'm going to be scaling back a little bit and leaning a little bit more into like my fashion and my styling and teaching and thrifting because that is something that I love. Um,
Mm.
so it's going to be I'll still offer, crochet things, but it probably won't be to this scale as we move through this year. People will begin to see some changes.
Wow.
But because I know that the clique trusts me, they're going to rock with whatever I do. So I'm
Mm,
grateful.
mm.
Yeah.
So, is it safe to say you heard it here first? If you want a pair of crocheted earrings, get down to JRiley now
Yeah, I'll
before it's
probably. I
too
mean, I
late.
wonna stop making them
Yeah,
completely.
yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean? But just at this pace, like it's very, very, very fast pace.
yeah.
'Cause when people come in, it's not. No one really comes in for one pair.
Mm,
Maybe if you're new, people come in for one pair. Or they're looking for something very. Even if they're looking for something specific, they usually end up with leaving at least with two pair.
yeah.
And there are people who come in buy two, three, four, five pair at a time. And
Wow.
so where it can look like I've done, and my husband will watch me and I'll spend the whole day creating. I'll have the whole dining room table covered with product, right? He's like, oh, you did well. And I'm like, but wait, if we divide this by say three, because on average they're going to get three pair, it doesn't look like as much. So
Mm.
it's a very fast pace. It's very bittersweet. Like now the store is probably 90% stock. Like it's really full right now. But today is Wednesday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday are the busier days. So to watch the stuff fly out of here, it's cool because I mean we're getting paid and it's going out into the world, and I love seeing how people adorn themselves and pair it with their different pieces and things. But then it's like it's empty. Yeah, yeah,
Must
yeah. So
make more.
it's a
Yeah.
great problem to have.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Would you ever consider, I don't know, outsourcing, finding
Yeah.
another crochet partner?
So people say that all people ask that all the time, and they're like,
Mm,
"Oh, you need time to hire help." People always have like great business advice, and some of them aren't even entrepreneurs or have never run a business. It just sounds really, really good. And it
mm,
does sound good to just, hire um, someone to help me crochet. The problem with that is that this is, for me, it's bigger than crochet. It's more like a ministry for me. So I take it very seriously, right?
mm,
Um,
mm.
in what I'm doing. I'm very prayerful about who receives the pieces and how they go out into the world and how they affect the people that go out into the world. And so it's important for me, like, what is that person like? What is their spirit like? You know what I'm saying? What are you offering? And because
Yeah,
you're making something and putting it out to the world with my name on it, I wanted to have that same feel as if I touched it, you know what I mean, with my own
yeah,
hands.
for sure.
Um, and then not only that, it needs to look like 90% like I did it. You know what I mean? I need it to all be uniform. Like consistency is a major thing for me in business, in all walks of business, but it's so important that the earrings that people have from 2009 look the same as the earrings from today.
Wow.
There hasn't been a change in the pattern. There's been new styles added, but the traditional styles that I had, they're the exact same pattern. And
Yeah,
so I want my people to be able to get that same level of consistency that they've grown to love in every product that they receive. So there's a lot of people who can crochet, but it may not look like my sister, she's a masterful crocheter. She's amazing. My mom crochets well, but our stitches look different.
hmm.
And it could be because of the tension. My sister's a little tighter than mine. So they
Mm.
don't look the same. So it's more difficult than just hiring someone to help.
Yeah. How long does it take to make a pair of earrings?
It depends. Like I have small ones that I know viewers can't see, but I have small ones. These little ones, they all have names. These are called the Sarahs, and these probably take about 5 minutes because they're
Okay.
really, really super quick to make. The classics, which are a big seller, they're a larger version of the Sarahs.
Mm-hmm.
They're just round circles. They probably take about 8 to 10 minutes. But then when you get into different styles like these are the loop-de-loops. You can't see viewers, but you got to stop in the store so you can see them.
Yeah.
These are bigger and they're on loops. They take a little bit longer because I have to crochet the pieces, then slip them on, then clip them, then burn them. There's like a million steps. So these are probably
Yeah.
like 15 or 20 minutes. And then
Okay.
you get into styles like the ragamuffins that incorporate fabric. It's doing the change. It's putting them on the hoop. It's cutting them. It's burning them. And then it's cutting the fabric to put in there and counting them out and trimming them. So there's a
Mm.
lot of different steps. Those are like 30 minutes. So it really just
Yeah.
depends
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
which style. So it can be anywhere from 3 minutes to 5 minutes to 30 minutes.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
just see with each one. And listeners, I'll figure out how to make a reel and post a bunch of them at once so you can see these. But like, you can just feel that they're infused with your spirit and
Yeah.
love, and I
I
love
love
that.
that. I'm
Yeah,
grateful for that. I really, really am.
yeah.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about? Because I know in that series of workshops that you taught last year, one of them was also about social media and using it.
Mhm.
Is anything changed in how you're feeling about social
Uh,
media now and just,
yes. I am. So this is going to cause me to do some more things that I should be doing right now that I'm not doing right now.
mm,
Because we don't know what's happening, right?
mm,
We're in like a reality TV show of uncertainty. So we don't know what tomorrow will bring. And so I do believe that it's important for us as entrepreneurs to not put all of our stock in social media. So I've been really building up my email listing,
mm,
my website. Um, I am looking into, let me just say it. I am going to start a blog there
Mm.
because I
Mm-hmm.
love writing. I really, really,
Mm-hmm.
really love writing. So I'm going to start a blog there, and probably offer like I don't know how often, quarterly, maybe newsletters or something like that, just to keep in touch with the click members. What I would really love to do, because I'm just so old school like this, I would love to mail things out. And I know that sounds crazy.
No.
I would love to mail like little handwritten notes. Could you imagine getting a handwritten note from like one of your favorite designers and like a little earring? Here's a gift to say
Y-
thank you for
Yes.
being a supporter.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
good. I'm gonna look into that. That sounds fun.
I love that idea. Let
Mhm.
me get on your list, please.
Yes, yes. Go right to the website and sign up on our mailing list. Absolutely. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Oh gosh. I'm wondering, besides your shop,
Hmm.
in the Sherman Phoenix, who else should people check out there?
Oh my
Who else
gosh.
can you
We are
uplift?
chock full of everything you need. This is definitely a one-stop shop. Up front, when you first come in, there's Richmond's Soul Food and Catering. They have catfish. It's called, on the menu, it says, I think it says perfectly fried catfish, which is absolutely not a lie.
Mm.
It's amazing. They have everything that you could ever want up there. We have Rada Shea with Milwaukee Tattoo Society, I believe is the name. Oh my God, Rada Shea, don't kill me if that's wrong. But she's an amazing tattoo artist. So she does tattoos and piercings by appointment only.
Mm.
We also have, when you come into the main section, there is the House of Vitality, which is run by Kamara and Ticey. And so he is your one-stop shop for all things health. He does sea moss, he does bladderwhack, he does natural teas and supplements,
Mm.
which are amazing and life-changing. I've been taking his sea moss pills for probably, I don't know, 5 years. Ginger shots, all things great for your health. If you go around the corner from him, there's Cinnabar, which is by Tana Jeter. That is not her last name. She just got married. Don't know what her new last name is, but she has natural energy drinks. She was actually down at Bayshore, and she's, I think, the most recent to join the
Oh,
Sherman
cool.
family. We have a barbershop here. We have Sassy the Classy, which is a women's boutique, which has the most amazing outfits, jewelry, shoes, accessories, purses. Amazing. We have the Classic Shop, which is an urban streetwear brand, which is owned by Marie Carter. She was my store mate downstairs.
Okay.
And
I was going to say that sounds familiar. Yeah. I think
yep.
I saw her. Okay.
Um, we have Hello Beautiful, which is upstairs, which is run by Cherry and Monica. I'm closing my eyes so I can make sure I'm not forgetting anyone, which is a makeup studio. They are exceptionally awesome, very good at, if you want a natural beat for your face, those
Mm.
girls have you covered. Baked Dreams, awesome, awesome, awesome.
Mm.
Probably heard
Hmm.
of her, Tamisha. Deli and Bakery and Catering Company. Oh, desserts
Mm.
and treats to die for. Okay. We have Miss Venus in the Queen
Mm.
Chagalia Co-op. Everyone probably knows Miss Venus Williams from Alice's Garden. And she also has the table on 54th and Capitol, I believe it is. But in the co-op, there are about, I think there's over 30 makers. And so you can get anything from bath and body products to teas to snacks to clothes to dolls to coloring books to, it's just a wealth of goodness in there. And it's inside the vault. So the door is really cool. People are really enamored by
Yes.
that when they see it.
Yes.
Lower level, we have Ninth Cloud Massage Therapy by Titus Style. Exceptional massage. If you have never had a massage, that's definitely where you want to go. We
Mm.
have
Is
an
this the space that you were in then before? Or is
nope.
it
So the
no?
space that we were in before is occupied by our generator. And so there's studios down there and then some workspaces
Okay.
out
Okay.
there as well. And then there's an art studio with some art that you can peruse downstairs as well.
Okay.
And then we have Valencia Lynn Beauty Bar. And so she does nails, she does pedicures. She's an esthetician, so you can get a facial. She does waxing, all the things.
Mm.
Upstairs, do beauty. Yasmin and Janae, they
Mm.
do lashes and makeup upstairs and braids. And I think that's everyone. I swear I pray I didn't forget anyone.
I'll put a
Oh my
link
God.
to this too in the show notes so that people
Yes,
can.
put our Sherman Phoenix website up there. I think it's shermanphoenix.com.
Yeah,
You can
but it
see all of
really is
that we
I
have.
mean, it really is a gem over there on
And
Fond du
it's a
Lac.
really great place for you to come just to hang out. So we have a lot of co-working spaces, a lot of places where you can come and just sit up for the day if you need a change of scenery, from your work day. And there's even more secluded places like downstairs in the art gallery if you want to, have a little bit more intimate space that's available. And there's a bunch of spaces here that are available for rent. So that's
Mm,
really,
mm.
really, really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And so for all the people and all the listeners who are thinking like, how do I just don't know how to support local or support, black and
Stop
brown
by.
entrepreneurs? Hello, one stop
Stop
shop. This is
by.
it.
One
Yeah.
stop shop. This is and there's so many places in our wonderful city for us to be able to support black and brown businesses. I won't even
Yeah.
try to go down the list, but there's so many. There's
Yes.
so
Yes.
many
Yes,
and options.
absolutely.
But this is definitely a one-stop shop.
Well, before I ask my very last question that I asked all guests, I heard on a podcast, maybe it was the one that you have on your website, where the woman started off by asking you, "How you doing?"
Mm,
And you paused and said, "I really want to think about that." And
hmm
I loved that because
hmm
so many of us, when we're asked, especially right now, "How you doing?" "Oh, fine," or
hmm
And I wondered if you could share that sort of.
Absolutely. That was a very conscious. I made a very conscious decision. This was when we were still downstairs. So this might have been maybe 2020, late 2020, early 2021. And I was having a conversation with a gentleman, and we were talking about that very thing, how we're just kind of like robots. Like, how are you doing? I'm good. How are you? But
Mm-hmm,
then inside, you're not really good. And I said, you know what? I'm going to be very intentional about how I answer that question. So now, ever since then, now every time someone asks me, how am I doing? I answer as honestly as possible, even if it means, I have a headache. I'm a
mm-hmm.
little hungry. I have cramps. I'm a little uncomfortable. I'm happy. I feel
Mm,
insightful. I feel curious. I feel angry. I feel frustrated. I'm a little sleepy. And because of that, it's opened the door for other people to pause and do a scan of how they feel, right? Because we just
mm,
don't take the time to do it. And it's so important because then how do you shift from that space? If it's something that needs to be shifted, or if it's a great feeling, how do we sit in that? You know?
mm, mm-hmm.
So I'm very intentional on how I answer that question.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if I ended by asking you, how are you doing? What would you say?
Right now, in this moment, I am proud. Yeah. I'm proud to be a Black woman. I'm proud to be an entrepreneur. I'm proud to be a Milwaukeean. I love the city.
Mm.
Um, I'm proud to be on this podcast with you. I feel very honored.
Oh.
I am very reflective. I think after this, I will take some time to write, of course,
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of reflect on one of the things that this last year or so has taught me, and especially within the last 6 months, and even more specifically, like November to now, is the importance of slowing down, right?
Mm.
From 2020 on, like once I really jumped into marketing this business, it's been one thing after another. Bah, 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 bah. And I think if we're honest, especially as entrepreneurs and especially as people who are growing and scaling, taking the time to just sit and kind of relish in what have you accomplished, what have you done,
Mm-hmm.
um, is important. And so being able to, I did that at the top of this year. I did like, I think I was listening to Mel Robertson. I think she called it like a yearly audit that she does. And so I just went through my camera roll and just jotted down like things that happened, things that I accomplished, things that I did, things that brought me joy. So that I can go back and kind of scan and look at like, oh wow, a lot happened
Mm.
in this year. You know what I mean? And to be able to look now, since you brought up so many things about childhood and things that I haven't thought about in so long, it's like, huh, this really correlates with this, or this is why this is this way, or this is something that I can do differently. So I feel
Yeah.
very insightful and
Yeah.
very a lot of self-reflection going
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
Oh, well, and that's another theme that I have seen running through the guests in this podcast is that no experience is wasted. And even if you're not thinking about it consciously at the time, like everything
Mm-hmm.
builds on itself, right? It's like a
Absolutely.
scaffolding. I love
Everything.
that. I've heard that audit referred to like instead of writing our to-do list, let's write our ta-da list.
Yep.
Like look at
Mm-hmm.
me. This is what I've done. And it's okay to be proud of that. Hell yeah.
And I started that like at home, just like in my daily life. I would get inundated with to-do lists. You have to do
Mm.
this, and this. What I've done now, what I do, I just threw one away. I jot down. Oh, here it is. Now the viewers can't see it, but you'll be able to see it. I jot down. This is from February 3rd. And so I literally, if I feel overwhelmed, I literally will write down everything that I did that day.
Oh,
I mean, showered, I got dressed. If I took my son to school, if I went to the grocery store, I got gas. I went and got a car wash. I cleaned out the fridge. I put a load of clothes in. I folded clothes. I hung them up. I changed the
yes.
sheets. I changed the kitty litter. I created 10 pair of earrings. Whatever it is, I jot it down because then at the end of the day, when I go back and look at that list, even if it felt like I didn't get done all the things that I quote unquote needed to get accomplished, these are all the things that you got accomplished. And it wasn't just a day or time wasted. You were, you know, impactful in this day. And even if that looks like I took a 2 hour nap, because we need that as well. And I'm
Yes.
a very good napper.
Yes. So good.
Yeah,
And we
very
need
good
that
napper.
now more
Love
than
sleep.
ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the last question I always ask everybody is because this is a podcast about Milwaukee women who are dreamy and dreaming and living their dreams. Who is somebody that you see as living her dream or who inspires you in the city?
People are probably gonna say I'm biased because it's my best friend, but it's Angela Mallet.
Mm,
And it's really because I've been able to see it from beginning to right now. And it's amazing. It's amazing the way that she is very calculated and she is very intentional about every single thing that she does,
mm,
especially in business. And she's taught me so much in terms of patience, in terms of being kind,
mm,
because she's definitely more laid back and I am more the fiery, feisty, confrontational one. Uh,
mm,
but she's taught me how to soften, and
mm,
how to lead with love in business, in relationships, in family, all the way around. But to be able to see her dream unfold from a thought to what it is today is
mm.
absolutely amazing. I'm so, so proud. And gosh, I'm going to cry. So proud of her and just knowing that it's happening and that even in all the hardships and because it's hard, you know, I know people see what is presented. People see what we present to them and what it looks like, but the behind the scenes is hard.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very, very hard. It's taxing. It's time consuming. It's emotional. It's lonely
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, but
Mm-hmm.
she's pressing her way and making such a difference and such an impact. I know that her grandmother is proud. I know that her dad is proud. We're proud. Her family is proud. And it's Angela Mallet.
Uh, I
I need
love that.
to love her.
Yes,
Love
I'm
her
gonna
to
have
death.
to have you connect me to her. I've been wanting to get her on the
Oh,
podcast
you
for
haven't? She hasn't
so
been on?
long. No,
Yes, we got to make that happen. Oh,
please
yeah.
help me. Yes, and for the listeners who don't know, it's this incredible
Oh,
space for wellness and wonderful teas, and
yeah.
it's just this beautiful, beautiful space for community, like
Absolutely.
exactly what
Absolutely.
you're talking about, and what you developed as
Yep.
well
I've
over
got the
it.
click. She's got the honeybees.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Jamila, thank you so much for joining me today. I am so inspired by your story and your
Oh, thank
color and
you.
your boldness and your just this this willingness to be this encourager and this community builder and connector for our community with style and flair. I hope everybody who's listening to this gets out and over to Sherman Phoenix to check out everything you have to offer in this incredible space. And
Yes.
are you a hugger? I feel like you might be a hugger.
I am definitely
Okay.
a hugger.
I'm going to get down there, get
Yes.
myself some earrings and get a really, really big hug.
Yes. I would like that a lot. I'm definitely a hugger. And listeners, yep, make sure you come out and see us. We're at 3536 West Fond du Lac Avenue. And you can find JRiley on all social media platforms. Facebook, it's JRiley. What's the other ones? Instagram, TikTok, it's I am JRiley. My website is iamjriley.com.
Okay.
And I don't know. Find me. You can Google me and I'll totally come up. This is so cool.
Yes. And I will put links to all of those in the show notes so people can get a hold of you in all the places. And, but hopefully come see you in person.
Absolutely. I think, that's the best experience.
Yes. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait for myself. Thank you, Jamila.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
I said it in the interview, but I just love women whose mission it is to create community and to encourage other women and other people in general. But as she said, kind of in particular here, women. And I love what she said about authenticity. For one, I love that you can just feel the authenticity oozing out of Jamila. Hopefully you could hear that. I could see it, listeners, because I'm on a Zoom with her. So I could see this beautiful smile and these beautiful big earrings and just the artwork and the beauty that was behind her that she just surrounds herself with all day in her shop. But I think you could hear it in her voice as well. Just this, I am who I am. I'm proud of who I am. I love who I am unapologetically. And I think I'm going to be sitting with this one for a while. I think this conversation inspires me to think about what is that energy that I'm putting out in the world? And is it authentic? And is it unapologetic? And I know she said it was a cliche, but I just love that your vibe attracts your tribe. You know, you attract what you put out. And especially now, I think in this world that we find ourselves in, our community is so important. Who we surround ourselves with and what we're working toward together just feels so much more momentous and important right now. And so to make sure that you are surrounding yourself with the people who share your values, who share your community, who share a sense of purpose and a sense of creating the world we want to live in. And I could just feel that so strongly from Jamila. And it's funny because I had a rapid fire question ready to go that was about, was sort of going to maybe tie in her style business or her style consulting and color consulting, and was going to say, is there a trend for 2025? What do you see? What are you seeing in colors? But she nipped that in the bud right away, right? It's not about what's trending. It's not about what everybody else is wearing this year. It's about what is it that brings you joy. And if it brings you joy, then it's for you. Again, that authenticity there of like, it doesn't matter what other people think or how they see me. It's how I see myself and how I love myself. Ashley Jordan talked about that earlier this season on the podcast with her book, The Unhappy Achiever. If you listen to that episode, and here we have another woman who is reminding us that we need to love ourselves and that it's okay to do that. I will put links to all of the ways that you can contact Jamila or find her online or find her in her shop over at the Sherman Phoenix. If you have not been down there yet, make sure you get yourself down there to check out her earrings, her scarves, her accessories, all of the things that she has on offer, and just to take in those vibes. Ooh, I can't wait for my hug. And in this time of sometimes feeling overwhelmed or what can I do or how can I make a difference, supporting local entrepreneurs makes a difference. This is a way to show your support. There are so many cool shops in the Sherman Phoenix. She mentioned most of them. I will put links to the rest of them in the show notes as well. Get down there and support local. Support local Black-owned businesses. Put your money where your values are. And then you can put that on your very own ta-da list. Supported local business? Check. supported Black-owned business. Check. Let's do this, Milwaukee. All right. I will be back next week with another incredible Milwaukee woman living her dream in the Cream City. Until then, Milwaukee, keep on dreaming.